my wife made this beautiful ceramic, it's a cup, mug, beautiful glaze. You can check it out there, very subtle colouring, nice. But what on earth has this got to do with the fact that so many of us fail on Spotify? And when I say fail, we just don't meet our expectations. We're not enough followers, not enough streams, not enough listeners. But I have found 3 major mistakes that we all make, including me, and that really leads to some of that disappointment. And I'm not alone. Last year, I launched Indie Over 50, and it's a channel dedicated to people over the age of 50 releasing new music on Spotify and YouTube. And so many great stories, but there's so many themes that come together when it comes to those disappointments and why it's not working for us. And by the way, in the details in the description below, you'll have all those links where you can find those Indie Over 50 Spotify and YouTube playlists and check out some of those amazing artists. And the 3 mistakes, let's start with some brutal self-reflection. It's going to be your song, your marketing, and your expectations. But the great news is you can fix at least one of these issues right today. And I'm also going to share some examples of some really inspiring Indie Over 50 artists might inspire you too. G'day and welcome to Indie Over 50, a channel dedicated to those of us over the age of 50 releasing new original music on Spotify and YouTube. My name is John Huggart. Welcome to the channel. Okay, let's break this down. The first one is the song, your song. And there's 3 main issues again when it comes to your song. The first one is the singer. The second one is the production. And the third one, guess what, is the actual song itself. So let's start with the singer, right? Often it's you. And I've talked about this before. Maybe you're not the best singer to serve this song and bring your vision to life. It's really hard to say that. And I know as a songwriter, we're passionate about our own voice and being able to voice the expression behind the lyric and the meaning of the song. I can't argue with that. And it's not about being the best singer. We've talked about examples of people who have been incredibly successful. They're not great classical singers, but they serve the song and they can build the emotion of it. So what can we do about that? Honest self-reflection, and don't ask people, do you like my singing? Because they're going to say, yes, you're amazing. Ask them to compare. How would you rank this song by comparison to some other unknown artists, etc., etc. Just work on that self-reflection and advice and feedback and see if you can find the best person who can actually give service to your song. The second thing is the production itself. Now, I've got to say, generally on Spotify, the standard is just so high now because you can achieve so much on your phone, on GarageBand, on Pro Tools. There's so many available, accessible packages that lift the quality so much higher than when we were battling with 4-track tapes back in the 80s and 90s. So the quality is generally pretty good, but there's a difference between good and great. And when you listen to the awesome songs that we love on the radio or that you love from yesteryear, that difference, that sizzle is often the production. It's often the mastering, the mixing, the unique pieces that make it great. So whilst you can deliver yourself from home a good recording, challenge yourself with maybe if I need to invest in some mastering or some expert mixing that can really elevate the quality of my song. And the third thing is the song itself. Now, love your song, but there's some strengths and weaknesses to all songs. And one of the things that I listen for and I hear sometimes in songs that aren't reaching their potential is I'm hearing really literal lyrics. I'm hearing traditional worn out cliches, please and knees. I think some of those things are worth avoiding because they just draw us into the trap of thinking I'm not inspired or engaging or connecting with this song. Same as the 4 bars of G followed by 4 bars of C strumming. That's not a setup to a great song. There'll always be exceptions. But as a general rule, challenge yourself on the songwriting. We've talked about songwriting competitions and are they worth it? But trying to get some independent feedback on where your songs sit and how you can improve them is really important if you're going to face that challenge of the first issue that we've got with our miss of expectations on Spotify and YouTube is the song. Okay, and the second big issue with your song I talked about is marketing. And again, I'll put a link in the description below. The most popular video that we've got on India over 50 really explored and dug into this subject. But it is about marketing, and it's an anathema. Most of us say, I don't care about marketing. I shouldn't need to worry about marketing. I just want to focus on the song. And I can't disagree with you. But if you want to achieve the outcomes for your song by having it out in the world and appreciated by the many people that deserve to appreciate and listen and be inspired by your lyrics or by your music, marketing comes into it. So a few of the basics: really poor marketing hygiene, I would say. Poor photo, no bio, no links to your socials. They're the type of kind of like fundamental weaknesses of some of the profiles I've seen. And similarly, social is not native language for us indie over 50 artists typically. So it's a bit vulnerable and brave to go there with having to post. I think my only advice about posting and engaging on the social media strategy, and look, it doesn't need to be the only strategy, but if you are going to embrace social media as a way of promoting your music, then you got to double down on it. You've got to be regular, consistent, find meaningful content to share and engage your audience with, or your potential audience. So there's shareable content that people say, wow, interesting. I want to learn more. I want to hear more. And finally, the big one is, do you have a strategy at all for getting on playlists or by advertising your music? Now, we've talked again in the past, there's lots of opportunities to get yourself on playlists, everything from free. There's free pathways to get onto playlists, including on Indie Over 50. But there are also paid opportunities. Is it pay to play? It's a really tenuous area, but the bottom line is you can invest to have the opportunity to be considered for a number of playlists. Similarly, you can advertise. The most popular tool here is meta advertising, which is Facebook and Instagram, and finding ways to promote your music through that media and engage people and bring them back to the platforms such as Spotify and YouTube so that you've got long-term followers, fans, listeners, and streams. And yes, the issue with fixing the marketing one and the advertising, the playlisting strategies or meta advertising strategies is money. It's money. And, I guess, and I've shared before that I had the view that it was about a one-to-one relationship with what I'd spent to produce a record that I would spend on the marketing, and it's not enough. And then I've learned and seen that you really need to be at the ratio of 1 to 6, which is a shock because it says all the money should be in the music. Produce a beautiful song. And yet then it makes sense when you consider it from a record company point of view. They don't spend 1 to 6, they probably spend 1 to 10. They focus on the marketing. That's where their focus is, and that's where they spend the money. Now, some of that's soft money because they've got core in-house skills for PR or creative or artwork and relationships and their own channels for advertising. Bottom line is that's what a record company does. It gets your record out in front of new listeners and fans, but it costs money. And what did I say the third thing was? It was your expectations. Now, here are the facts. Most artists, 80% in fact, have less than 50 followers. You're not alone. There are more songs released today in one day than there was in the entire year of 1989. And if you find out how you can measure what Spotify is telling you about your popularity, you might find, like most people, that your popularity score is 0. And Spotify is not going to push you in the algorithm unless they can see engagement. They want to see you pushing as well. Now, we all think we'll just put out a beautiful song and it will rise with the tide because people want to. And there are probably examples of where that's happened. They're the celebrated, awesome examples. The vast majority requires engagement. So when I say, well, how do you fix expectations? It's just about by recognizing the facts, the fact that most people don't have many followers and streams, the fact that there is a hugely crowded market for new music every day, and the fact that the algorithm is going to require more than just being there to blow up and go viral. That can kind of set your headspace about understanding why you've got all this time and trouble, all this creative effort, and there's not much results. So how do you manage your expectations? First of all, just appreciate the achievement. You've created your music and you've put it out there. There is an achievement. That's a win. Understand the reality we've talked about. Viral moments are rare. Just enjoy those you can connect with. And real growth, as I've talked about, is probably going to take not only time, it's going to take money. Maybe that's not what you're prepared to invest in when you're pursuing your dreams with your music and independent music releases. But remember, there are some low-hanging fruits. You can check out some of my videos, and I'll have the links in the description below about some free ideas of how to promote videos. And of course, remember, you're invited to join us here on Indie Over 50. And if you've got any new music out there on YouTube or Spotify, send me your links in the description below or through the contact details on the YouTube channel. Let's talk ceramics again and understand why on earth that's got to do with something. Hey, I see this happen all the time. Hey, check out my pottery. I made it last week. What's the conversation? Wow, that's impressive. That's really, really good. I didn't realize you could do that. Wow, I could never do that myself. How amazing. The quality is extraordinary. Like in the shop, that would be worth a whole heap of money. I'm so impressed. I'd love to do that. But here is the kicker. How long was that conversation? 45 seconds? Unless you really nerd out between the two of you and get involved in the details of ceramics and getting involved in this new amazing hobby. And by the way, I'll just drop in here. I just been back from a month's holiday in Japan with my wife on a pottery group, and we did engage and see some amazing pottery, and just, I guess, the admiration of seeing anyone at the top of their craft create. It is art. So it was a really, really cool experience, as well as Japan just generally. But here's my point and what this all means about our expectations. The conversation with a piece of ceramics, 45 seconds, 15 seconds, maybe a couple of minutes. And yet, what do we expect of people when we share our music? For a start, it's probably going to be a 3-minute song, and we're expecting them to listen to the whole song. We're expecting them to pick up the fact that we introduced some cool new DX7 patches in the second verse. Or we want them to pick up that there's this cool lyric twist in the third verse that unravels the entire plot line. We're waiting breathlessly for any feedback or change in facial expressions. Do you hear me? Do you hear yourself here? We are such critical thinkers about our art, but ultimately music is about how we feel. So whether or not they're responding to the DX7 patch in the second verse is not what it's about. It's about how they feel. And if they genuinely connect with your style of music or the song, they're going to reach out. They're going to bug you for your links, and they're going to follow, and they're going to share. And one day, maybe they really will pour over every element of your production and your Dylan-esque living. Okay, so let's just recap these 3 big things, the 3 mistakes we all make and that lead to our frustration with the fact that we've got low followers, low streams, or low fans on YouTube and Spotify. It's your product. So yeah, you've got to improve your voice, you've got to improve your songwriting, and you've got to improve your production. The second thing is your marketing. You need to spend some money and make wise choices, of course, about it, but be prepared for that if you want to invest in the maximum opportunities for your songs to be heard. And third, you've got to manage your expectations here. Most people don't make it. Most people aren't going to be interested, and most people aren't going to listen. You've got to be in it for the long game and accept those odds. But that's just 3. There might be other mistakes that you're aware of or you've made yourself. Drop them in the comments below. And hey, it's free to subscribe. Hit that like button. And if you've got any new music on YouTube and Spotify, feel free to share your links in the comments below or reach out through our YouTube channel, and you can join the Indie Over 50 playlist. And here are some artists that really have inspired me in the quality of their song, the quality of their video, the quality of their voice. And it might just inspire you. They're in different styles, but check them out. I'll give the links below. Check out Proof by Daryl Scotty and Big Yard. Check out Million Faces by Satara. Check out All Eyes in the Room by Gareth Thomas. Your song is not written yet, so rock on. Keep Indie Over 50.